Hello, my loves. I am so excited to share with you this heartfelt conversation with my dear friend Jess about cyclical movement, caring for your body. This episode is sponsored by my Tending to Your Inner Garden membership. If you feel ready to learn more about how your body, your fertility, and your menstrual cycle work, if you're ready to deepen into the mysticism that is all around and within you, then I invite you to check out the Tending to Your Inner Garden membership, a space to learn, connect, and create. You can find more information at mysticfemininefertility.com/tending to your inner garden. Welcome to the Mystic Feminine Fertility Podcast, a sacred container for heart-centered conversations about fertility, pregnancy, menstrual cycles, and divine feminine energy. My name is Annalise Yagyajoti, and I'm a fertility awareness educator, a holistic reproductive health practitioner, and a modern mystic. It is my absolute joy and pleasure to host these conversations and share them with you. Hello, and welcome to the Mystic Feminine Fertility Podcast. My name is Annalise Yagyajoti, and I am so deeply honored to have my sister Jess here today.
So honored to be here.
Yay. Jess and we trained together at Soulwork in Costa Rica, and she is a 500-hour certified yoga instructor. She's been teaching since 2017, ranging from leading classes in the local community, training softball teams, hosting dance workshops at Flow Arts Festivals, and guiding trauma-informed sessions at an addiction recovery center in Detroit. She has a passion for movement as medicine, and her energy is contagious. Every class is an experience with Jess. Her background is rooted in traditional hatha yoga, ecstatic dance, 5 rhythms, breathwork, restorative yoga, and meditation. So juicy. Jess, how are you doing today?
I'm doing so good, and I'm doing even better after hearing that. It's really cool to just take a second to smell the roses,
Yeah,
right?
you've done so much.
Oh my goodness, it's been a journey.
All the changes and shifts since 2017 and before.
Oh, so much, and the movement of it all, and all of it is rooted in movement. And
Oh,
I'm just doing so good to be here. And I'm so happy to be able to talk about this and have the ability to talk to you about it, have the connection with you. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what comes up. And for whoever's listening, that they hear what they need to hear today.
exactly. Let that be the prayer, the intention, the space that we're holding. I love that you brought that in.
Mm.
Jess, do you know where you're at in your cycle?
Yes, I am ending my menstrual phase.
Okay.
Um, I'm in hold on, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. I'm in day 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Feel like to be in your body today on day 4 of your cycle?
Oh, I'm feeling a lot more new today. I'm feeling very new. The weekend was a very yeah, I always slow down. I canceled all my plans this weekend. I was supposed to go up north and I'm usually go go go, but I leaned into saying no, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
Um so that was really good. So I'm really happy that I did that because today, day 4, I'm feeling really good. I'm just feeling just kind of open and
It makes such a difference to slow down on those first couple days,
everything.
to actually listen to the body instead of trying to push, push, push.
And that's usually the theme of me with my energy type, my human design, all the above is to push, push, push. Pitta, very heavy pitta.
Very
Um,
good.
yeah, very heavy pitta, but the kapha can definitely come into play, and that's what happened this weekend. So, like you said, a huge game changer. I did notice that like I was getting up, like little movement is always needed, so I was walking. Like I took one walk on Saturday, which was great on day 2 when I'm really heavy. For me to get a walk in is a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm that. But then Sunday, I got even more steps in. I got 8,000 steps in on Sunday.
Oh,
I
wow.
was pretty proud of that. Yeah, and then yesterday finally got like 4 or 5 walks in. So that was really good too. So just like walking more and just like now today, I'm like, I really want to lift something, but like not like hard. Maybe just do some yoga, like lift my body.
Yeah, body weight, building.
Yeah, just body weight today and just leaning into that. So I tend to follow my cycle. I'm pretty, and it's because of you, my friend.
Oh,
I've learned a lot from you.
I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am so excited about all the things. So what I'm hearing from
There's
you,
a lot.
when you're bleeding, like those first few days especially, you feel a difference in your body when you incorporate some walking. Is that
Yeah.
your main type of movement when you're bleeding?
Usually on the first day, you don't see me getting a walk. And like I said, on that second day, for me to get one walk in was great. I was like happy for that. But usually it's me crawling onto the floor
Yep.
and just kind of getting some like hip rotations in.
Yes.
That tends to help alleviate some pressure.
Mhm.
Uh, the it's not a cure all, we all know this, but it does help alleviate some of the symptoms. So I'm very grateful for the ability to just roll onto the floor,
Yeah.
roll onto my back, hug my knees into my chest. I love the that's my favorite part, child's pose. Child's pose,
So good.
so good.
Circles, some cat cow, moving the spine.
That exactly what I was saying with those hip rotations.
Yep.
Just getting some organic movement into my hips and into the spine. And then you let the head drop into it too, and just slow movements. And that's usually about as far as I go when it's those first 2 days.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
love to incorporate like yin postures where I just kind of set myself up with a bunch of like bolsters or pillows or whatever I have near me. And I'm
All the
on the
support.
floor, heavy, like a wide legged forward fold, getting into the hips, the back, gentle twists. Like I agree with you. I love to slow down, deep belly breathing or like the 3-part yogic breath, just anything to like guide more energy and warmth into the womb
Good
space.
massage. I like to get into a little self massage just on my lower belly, just like really gentle, whatever oils I have by, um, or just with my hands. If I'm sitting on the couch and I can't get up, right? Just like and really just getting into that and enjoying whatever type of movement you can find.
Yeah. And I'm curious, what shifts have you experienced in your life since you've begun to slow down around your bleed?
Not having so much shame, I guess, around it.
Around slowing down or
Like
around your
trying to
cycle?
hide it, not trying to hide it anymore. That's that's a better way of saying it. Because with trying to avoid it or, oh, I didn't want this to happen right now. And then, you put the tampon in and you take the pain pill and you put on the smile and you go to work.
Mhm. Ugh,
Or yeah, you know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
just don't now that leaning into my cycle and working with my cycle and moving with my cycle and the way that it just needs to go versus like trying to force it to go a different way when the body is saying slow, slow, slow. Just
slow,
leaning into
slow.
that instead of that go, 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 right?
Yeah. And when you were saying like bringing more attention to or getting rid of the shame around it, are you talking about your actual period, about the blood, about the bleeding, or is it more around the action of slowing down?
All of I think it's the action of slowing down the to for a woman to have to stop and then the men don't have to,
Hmm.
right? But there's also a beauty in that. And before I didn't understand that when I didn't truly understand my cycle, when
Yeah.
I just looked at it as a burden versus as a blessing, right?
Hmm.
So when I started reframing my perspective upon my bleeding, it's a blessing instead of a burden. The stopping and the pausing is the where the power comes in, right?
Hmm.
And that's been the theme of uh this current phase of my life is leaning into the pause and the slowing down and the feminine side of me instead of the doer masculine, like get it done. How am I gonna get it done? How about just it's gonna get done?
Yeah. Feminine, like feminine energy is so deeply cyclical. Like when we look at the earth itself, when we look at our bodies, when we look at the moon, like it's natural for us to go through these phases. And one of those phases is this deep rest. It's this winter, it's this new moon where the sky is dark. It's this time built into our bodies, into our hormones, that is a time for us to slow it down.
Deep exhale.
Deep exhale, belly breaths, lay on the ground. And
Roll on the ground, rotate your hips.
your hips, move your back, yawn through your mouth, hum and activate the vagus nerve. There's so many juicy things that we can do in the body when we realize that resting really isn't, it's not about being lazy. It's not
Mm-mm.
even about like, I'm so burnt out and this is the only thing that I can do. It's resting before you get to a state of burnout. I believe that the menstrual cycle really is designed to keep us from burning out.
Yes, I never thought about it that way, but yes, it's like our own internal, like, hold up, girl system.
Hold up, girl. And also on the opposite side of that, it's got time that goes, go, girl, get out there. We're giving you all
Get
this.
it, girl.
Your skin's clearing up, your hair is looking good. You want to be around people like following those urges and shifts and paying attention. Like it's our body's way of really guiding us through life and really supporting our evolution and our growth. And rest is
Mhm.
such an important part of that.
Crucial, because
Crucial.
that's where a lot of work is actually happening. Like you said, so that we can gear up to do things in the next phases of our cycle. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm feeling right now. It's so beautiful, like as I'm getting into the springtime, right?
Mm-hmm.
After the winter
Yeah.
becomes the spring.
Yep.
And I'm totally feeling that, especially with these spring vibes that we're in at the time of this recording. We're in the springtime, that early springtime, and it's just I'm definitely feeling that as I enter into the next phase of my cycle this month.
Mm-hmm. So, as a
Yeah,
little background before we move into inner spring,
yeah.
just in case you're not familiar with the phases of the cycle, to the listener, there are four main phases of the cycle that lead into each other. The first one is related to our inner winter. It's the time that we bleed. Then we move into our inner spring. This is called the follicular phase. From there, we shift into our inner summer, our expansion, which is our ovulatory phase, the time around ovulation. And then the fourth phase is a shift into our inner fall or autumn, and that's the luteal phase. So, Jess, now that you're moving into your inner spring, what do you think your movement practice will look like in the next couple of days?
You will probably find me back in the gym.
Mhm.
I planned already actually for Thursday to do my harder class because I didn't want to do it tomorrow. I'm like, okay, let me do this like quick 45-minute like cardio hit, on Thursday. But
Yeah.
tomorrow I plan to dance. So that's what's going to be coming in the next couple of days. It's just kind of getting my heart rate back up.
Mhm.
But just gently doing so with fun activities. So tomorrow I plan to do an hour of just five rhythms dance. That'll be beautiful. And yeah, so that's just getting back in. Nothing like super heavy weights. I'm not being called to do the heavy weight lifting yet. You'll
Uh-huh.
find me doing the heavy weights probably in the early next week. But yeah,
Mhm.
that's how I see the springtime is. That's going to be my movement
Yeah,
this
higher
upcoming
heart rate, more expansive movements, getting back into social environments too. It sounds
standing dancing, not just rolling on the floor dancing.
Jess, can you explain what five rhythms dancing is?
Yeah, so Five Rhythms is a beautiful practice that was started in, I believe, the 1970s. Gabrielle Roth is the founder. Her son is now carrying on the torch for leading leading the other teachers. But
Mm.
it's a nationwide, worldwide practice. You can find teachers all over. You just search Five Rhythms, and you can
Yeah.
probably find one in your state. Workshops and meetups are common. They have weekly dances and workshops and retreats all over. That's where I got exposed to Five Rhythms was at a weekend retreat in West Virginia.
Ooh,
And it was the most magical experience because that's where I learned what five rhythms is. It's like five rhythms. What is this?
yeah.
And so five rhythms, it relates directly to the rhythms of life and the rhythms of dance and the rhythms of movement. So when we think about the five rhythms, they're categorized just for short terms, right? Because we could talk a whole podcast about five. But you have flow is one rhythm, which is like you know, flow is very whimsical, watery type movements. Lyrical is another type of rhythm, and lyrical is more so like storytelling, or when you're listening to like a really good slow song with an instrument, with a not an instrumental, with lyrics that you really connect with. You can create the song story with your hands. That's how I like to describe lyrical.
Mhm.
And then you have staccato. Staccato, if familiar with music, you've heard this word before, or you've heard all of these words before. Staccato is very step by step repeating, dun, 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 that type of movement. And you can see, and you can probably picture it in your head right now, the difference already from flow,
Ah.
lyrical to staccato, right? And then from there, there's the two more, right? The fourth one, chaos. Chaos is everybody knows the rhythm of chaos in life, right?
Mhm.
The rhythm of chaos in dance as well is not something that's very staccato. It's the opposite of staccato. It's erratic. It's like a flame. So you shake, you jump around, take up space, and you build heat in the body. And it doesn't have to be big, it can be small.
Mhm.
Um, and that's what this whole practice is. This whole practice doesn't have to be big. It can be a
Yeah.
small practice. You can do it from a chair. You can do it from the floor. You can
Mhm.
do it standing. You can do it running around the room. And then the last rhythm is stillness.
Mhm.
And with
Mm.
stillness is we find the stillness in life as the chaos goes around us. And this is directly that's why I resonated with this practice, because I see that reflected in yoga as well.
Yeah.
We get into a rhythm during a class, and whatever yoga class or whatever type of fitness class actually that you have ever experienced, right? You get into a rhythm, but then you find stillness, and the stillness is where everything settles.
Mhm.
And the true medicine, I believe, is where that begins to integrate.
Yeah.
So that's five rhythms for the little gist of it.
That is a beautiful practice. I need to get my butt into the five rhythms.
We need to go to a retreat together, a workshop together. It'd be really fun. West Virginia would be a great location for us to meet up.
Yeah, right in the middle. Well, in the center, in between us.
That that way. We're just gonna plant that seed and let that grow.
And so I'm trying to think in my brain, like the difference between oh, I guess I can have you describe it since you're here. How would you explain the difference between ecstatic dance and five rhythms?
Ecstatic dance is more so just like free for all, you
Yeah.
could say, because you're playing the music, and then there's like an intention maybe that you could set in it. But there's various types of ecstatic dance, right? And in the five rhythms class, the teacher, and I'm not a teacher by any means, so this is also just based on my experience.
Yeah.
The difference that I saw with the five rhythms experiences was there was an anchor point that we all could like bounce off of, or you know what I mean, like there was the music was correlating specifically with each rhythm that the teacher was guiding us through.
Hmm.
So that created an experience and a certain type of journey,
Hmm.
versus an ecstatic dance being it's very similar, but it's just more um definitive
Yeah.
word. Five rhythms is being more definitive, and there's more types of group exercises. And you're familiar with like group exercises when we've been at these facilitator trainings,
Yeah.
or just our 200 hours in general. We went through group facilitated experiences,
Yeah.
and you can do exercises, partner exercises, so partner dances, group dances.
And that's
Um,
in five rhythms.
Yes, in 5 rhythms, and the teachers have all these different exercises,
Mhm.
from their trainings,
Mhm.
right, that they share with their attendees. So that's the biggest difference that I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hear you saying that, you can do five rhythms or really any dance practice. You can do it on the ground, you can do it in a chair, you can do it full up jumping around the room. Like there's different variations. So in theory, you could make dancing work in any point of your cycle. But where do you think it would be ideal in your cycle to be doing like a five rhythms or even an ecstatic dance? Any of these like options for bigger movements, higher energy?
What a great question. It would definitely be in that spring, summer time because that's where you're going to be more social
Yeah.
and wanting to be in a group setting, right? And those types of experiences are really powered by the group
Yes.
energy itself, right? So I have been on an experience before where I was bleeding and I still was able to get benefits out of it, but I didn't take part in any of the group exercises or partner exercises because I didn't want to be touched.
Yeah.
I wanted more like personal space just in general. So
Yeah.
I'd be hanging out in the corner,
Yeah.
doing my little staccato bop and
Mm.
that. For those who can't see, I am
Little
bopping
hip
right now.
sway, little bob. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I would suggest is definitely in the spring and summer like phases of the cycle.
Yeah.
And it sometimes it does work out, sometimes it doesn't work out. And yeah, I definitely have been starting to plan my retreats or classes or whatever I'm offering around that. And I'm actually my next offering is during my ovulation.
Perfect.
I'm like, great.
Amazing. I love it when I do that for myself.
I was thinking about marketing it this weekend, and then my bleed came. And I'm like, oh no, I
No.
will talk to. So I actually posted something today.
Perfect. Yeah, when your body is
Perfect. Go with it.
open for that and more energetically available.
Yeah, you're not gonna catch me on live or on my Instagram story in those first few days.
And I like that you mentioned that when you went to this group offering and you were on your bleed, you chose to opt out of the partner exercises. I think it's important to note, like, not only do we have a little less energy when we're bleeding, but the energy field around us, our aura, is actually thinner and more permeable.
Mm,
So we're able to kind of feel people and energies more intensely than at other points of the cycle. So this is a super psychic part of the cycle. It's super witchy, it's super fun, but also when you're interacting with a lot of people, it can feel really draining. So having that like autonomy, that respect, that honor for your body and saying, right now I want to be in my own energy. I'm happy, like I want to be around people right now to an extent, and I want to be in this environment and I want to dance, but I'm going to make adjustments to fit where my body's at today and where my energy is at today.
so important to honor ourselves, to
Mhm.
listen, to listen, to
Listen.
listen, to listen, and then do something about it.
And that listening is such a skill. Do you find in your classes and offerings that people have challenges listening to their bodies?
Oh yes, because there's always a immediate judgment
Mm,
versus the listening, which is definitely an advanced practice though as well. And I work with
right?
a lot of people that are coming into the practice for their first time.
Yeah.
So for to shift the perspective from judgment to curiosity is
Mm,
the first step. That's what I have seen
that's huge.
and found for myself as well because that's where it first starts is oh shoot, I can't do that today versus why can't I do that today?
Or, oh, this doesn't feel as good as it did last week or 2 weeks ago. Or,
This isn't available to me right now.
yeah.
Why? That's okay. But how could I make myself a little bit more comfortable? So many questions.
So
So
many
many questions.
questions. Moving from judgment to curiosity is huge. in
Huge.
in yoga, in movement and dance, and in our lives, really. When we think of these philosophies,
All of our experiences.
because most of us are deeply rooted in this judgment and shame energy. We're trying to judge ourselves in order to keep others from judging us. You're trying to
Hmm.
protect ourselves, trying to, improve ourselves to the fact where like no one else could say anything negative. And it's such detrimental energy. It's exhausting.
Hmm. That's what
Judgment.
that's what causes us to hide our um that's what causes us to hide. There's no other words from it. That's what causes
Yeah.
people and us to hide.
Yeah.
And there's no room for that. There's
Hmm.
no room for that.
No room for that.
No room for that no more.
I do want to circle back to this idea of the challenges that people experience, but I also want to finish talking about the phases of the cycle real quick.
Yeah.
So, what kind of movement practices would you incorporate when you're in your inner summer? We kind of touched on this, but I'm sure you have more to add.
I I am like we said in my intro here, I am a former softball coach,
Mhm.
former athlete, and I like to lift heavy things. I like
Mhm.
to lift them up and put them down.
Yeah.
I find it very fun, but I can only do it like a week or two out of the month. And I wish I could do it more, but I've leaned into honoring the fact that it's not for all the time for me, and that's
Yeah.
okay. So yes, I during those summer, I definitely lean into a more like going to weightlifting.
Mhm.
So like my reverse RDLs,
Yeah.
the squats, my leg press, all of that
Mhm.
jazz. That's what I like to do. You will catch me possibly running more.
Yeah.
I am almost completely healed, is what I like to say, for about my feet because I had a foot injury, a plantar fascia rupture.
Oh, right.
That was in 21, and that really like wigged me out of my whole movement routine in general, right?
Mhm.
But leaning back into I can run because there was a big story that I was telling myself of I can't run. And yeah, we've been rewriting that story internally. And I think it's working. I've been doing a little bit of sprints here and there. So
No.
that's what you'll find me doing during those during that summer phase as well. Heavy lifting, and then definitely getting some more extra cardio in with running.
Mhm. Maybe a
Yeah.
little dancing here and
Oh, definitely. Always
there.
dancing is a weekly thing.
Yeah. You're
Dancing
like,
is
that's
almost
happening all the time.
yeah, dancing is a daily thing. I just have my playlist. It's like 8 hours long. I just press shuffle anytime I like need to, get out of a funk.
Yeah.
You press play, and that's the easiest form of medicine that I have, right?
Mm.
Because getting to the
It's
gym is a whole
available.
process.
Yes.
Getting to the gym is a whole process. But turning on the music on my phone,
Mhm.
easy.
Yeah. You have your phone with you. There's music on it. Might as well use it.
Exactly. And you'll catch me definitely bass head just comes out during the summer days as well. So,
Uh-huh. So the different types of music resonate with you differently.
oh yeah, yesterday I had mantra on all day.
Mm. Sacred sounds, calming
Sacred
vibe.
all weekend.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love your definition of weightlifting. You said I like to pick up heavy things and put them down. It's
It's as
fantastic.
simple as that.
It is. And there's so many benefits to all these different types of movement. And I'm sure that you'll agree that there's a lot of benefit to having varied movement practices,
Hmm.
not only showing up for one type of music or one type of movement, having these different things that you can pull out based on your body's needs and getting to benefit from all of them.
Yes, keeping it fresh for not even, and it's just my brain, my
Yeah.
type,
Yeah.
my just design type in general too. I think with keeping it fresh and changing it up,
Yeah.
very different types of movement.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just so beneficial because when we try to push too hard in those weeks and those days that the body just is not programmed,
Yeah.
designed to work in that way and to push in that way, because it
Yeah.
does nothing but then, like we were talking about in the beginning of this discussion, burnout.
Yeah.
What does that serve me to push right now so then I don't feel good in the next coming days. And
Yeah.
I'd rather rest, restore, fuel up,
Yep.
fuel up. Man, do I love nutrition. I love food.
Food, nutrition, nourishing the body. Yes, such a key
Mm.
part of.
You would have been very happy about my meal that I had on Saturday.
What'd you have?
The man made it for me and it was really
Oh,
amazing because I
uh-huh.
didn't have to cook it.
Love that. All
It
including
was
reception.
potatoes. It was a breakfast meal, right? So
Uh-huh.
potatoes, cheese,
Uh-huh.
eggs. It was 3 eggs on top, like the fried eggs,
Yum.
peppers,
Ooh.
and then what did we have? We had turkey bacon on the side. It was amazing.
Oh, look at that. I think you hit good protein goals.
I was like, this is just all I need right now. And
Yeah.
that Saturday morning, it was day 2. I was like, oh, this looks so
Yeah.
good.
Do you notice a difference in your body when you are in your, let me rephrase that. Do you notice a difference in your movement practice when you are able to fully nourish your body?
Oh yeah, because then I have the energy to do it, right? So when
Yep.
I'm eating crap or if I actually yeah, when I'm eating like crap, when you there's no sugar coating that.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
the pun intended.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, when you eat like crap, you feel like crap.
Hmm.
And then the practice isn't there. The steady heartbeat, the movement, it's not there
Yeah.
because the energy isn't there. You're not able to, you don't feel yourself. You want to take a nap. You want to just
Exactly.
relax and just chill.
Yeah.
But I've been leaning more into the new season of Jess, of
Mm,
nourishing myself, leaning into the slow so that I can feel good when I'm ready to glow.
exactly. Love all the rhyming, Jess. Oh my God.
Save that one for later.
Absolutely. Ready to glow. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes it's no. Sometimes it's flow. Go.
Go, go, go.
I feel like as women, we being surrounded by diet culture for most of our lives and getting so many mixed messages about food, I find that most women that come to me are undernourished. I think that's a big issue, and I don't have, the answer for that in a tight little box, but I appreciate you bringing nutrition into the conversation about movement because it's just as important as it is to move our bodies. We need to be fueling and nourishing and grounding. And in yogic philosophy, we talk about food as a source of prana or this vital life force energy, and really seeing our food as medicine, as fuel, as nourishment, as opposed to just something that we do or something that we can skip. And
Right.
it's a
It's so
key part of
important.
self-care.
So important.
Yeah. And as you move into your inner autumn or fall or your luteal phase, your body, your nutritional needs change again.
Mm.
And your progesterone increases, which stimulates your thyroid. And you need about 200 calories more a day, and you need more carbohydrates. I always like to remind people of that, like your body, your nutritional needs, your metabolism has shifted.
Yeah. I'm
Nourish
laughing because my luteal phase makes me forget everything.
your body's like, cool, cool, cool. We use the brain for the entire follicular and ovulatory phase. Now let's get, somewhere else.
So I need to be reminded in my luteal phase what I need to eat and
Uh-huh.
what nourishes me more so that I can, yeah,
Yeah.
to support myself better during that week because that is the hardest week for me.
Yeah.
I'm having a much better time now with bleeding. Old younger me would have definitely told you, oh no, bleeding is the worst. That's the hardest time I have. But
Mm.
now where I'm at right now, I totally would say that the luteal phase is the hardest.
What are some of the challenges that come up for you in the luteal phase?
Mood,
Hmm.
the definitely the mood swings is the worst. When I like catch myself, I'm like, whoa, why did I just do that? Or why did I just say that? I'm like, oh, then I look at the calendar
Mm.
and I'm like, it all makes sense
It's
now.
all coming together.
All coming together. It's coming. It's coming.
Mm.
So yeah, it's definitely a mood swing thing that I've noticed. And energy level. I tend to see myself dragging myself to go to the gym because I
Yeah.
just did those great workouts the week before, doing my
Yep.
picking up things and putting them down.
Yep.
Right. So I just came off of that high. And then I want to keep doing that, but I'm like, oh shoot, no. So that's, yeah, that's where I find my struggles the most, is definitely in that in that week.
And what are your movement practices as your energy starts to shift in this way?
Mm. It I lean into my dance.
Hmm.
You can tend you'll see me shape, like doing the chaos,
Yeah.
the chaos release, and we somatic experience or somatic teaching
Hmm.
of any sort, right? You would be familiar with shaking
Yeah.
as a tool to help release stored trauma, or just like any type of energy to get that going again in the body, right?
Hmm.
So that's what you'll tend to see me doing, or just really listening to a lot of, you'll see, oh, also singing.
Singing.
I lean into singing.
You have such a beautiful voice, Jess.
Thank you, babe. I appreciate you. I've been leaning into singing in that time because I'm sad. And when
Yeah.
I'm sad, I like singing, and I get all, I got to listen to my sad songs.
Hmm. And there's so much that we know about the benefits of using your voice. When we talk
Hmm.
about that from like the Shuddha chakra or like the throat chakra standpoint of things, of expression. But also there's this direct connection between the throat and the womb. These two cells that as you're developing are very similar at first, and then they start to differentiate and move through the body. But there is this physical and energetic connection between the throat and the womb. So I love that you're using singing, you're using your voice as an avenue for releasing, moving, or feeling deeper into the energy that's present.
Hmm.
And
It's
singing,
everything. Instead of fighting it, let's sing through it.
yeah, really, yeah, there's so many shifts and changes that happen in the luteal phase. And like we talked about the menstrual phase or the bleeding being a very psychic time, so is the luteal phase. There's a lot of cultures that view it as a time when you're directly in touch with the subconscious mind,
Mm.
and kind of anything that you've been trying to push away or push down or not look at starts to come up. And it's really a time to witness. And I feel like that practice of moving away from judgment and into curiosity is really, really useful in the luteal phase.
Hmm.
Saying, why am I feeling like this? And mood swings are a very common symptom, but there's lots of different symptoms that people experience. And so just being curious about it, and even deeper beyond, like, there is the level of like, okay, why is this happening? Okay, I know where I'm at in my cycle, and that gives me some peace of mind that one, it's not going to last forever. That's huge. I tell people all the time, like a big practice in my life is if something comes up in my luteal phase that feels really scary or overwhelming or important, like I often will get the urge to leave the country in my luteal phase. And so I've developed this practice of I'm going to bleed on it. I'm going to bleed on it and then I'll make the decision. If I'm bleeding and I still want to leave the country, if that's the example that we're going with, then I'll do it. I'll quit my job. I'll buy the ticket. I'll implode my life. It's fine. I've done it before. I can do it again. But moving, like giving myself that time and space to feel into intensity. And then I normally have a different perspective of things. Like most of us have a little shift in mood or hormones or neurotransmitters when we actually start to bleed.
You're so right.
And so I think it's important, one, knowing where you're at in your cycle so you can remind yourself this is not forever. And
Mm.
two, getting curious, like taking it a step beyond that and saying, why is this coming up cycle to cycle? And not needing to fix it right away, not needing to change it, but just getting really curious and having different tools to be curious with. You can be curious with with music, with singing, with movement, with journaling, with yoga, with therapy, with whatever art, anything can be your self inquiry, that svadhyaya in yoga, the self study to get to know yourself better and to come into deeper connection or union with yourself. It's important, it's beautiful.
So important. The perspective shift is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And I think it's interesting that you said the previous version or a younger version of Jess didn't like her bleed, but this version of Jess has more difficulty with the luteal phase.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful testament to growth around accepting your cycle and your bleed, and also just the fact that we're human and we're cyclical beings, and that life is going to shift and change, and that we're going to have different challenges and different beauties as life continues to develop.
Continues to change.
Mm-hmm.
The awareness of it all.
Yes.
Just awareness. Perspective is the biggest thing. I can say that over and over again. It's all about perspective and just becoming aware of why and curious, being open and curious to why things are happening and learning more about it. I learned so much just now. The luteal phase, the calling in of pushing off of what that really spoke to me just now.
Mm.
And especially in terms of like looking at the reflection of where I'm at now in the phase of life versus where I was at younger, and
Yeah.
how I'm looking at my bleed versus my luteal phase, it makes a lot of sense as to why it's harder for me these days. But also it doesn't last forever. That's such a good one.
It's
I'm gonna borrow that.
temporary, it's
Gonna remind
cyclical,
Yes.
all is
Remind
going to be well.
I'm using that, saving that in the back pocket.
I love that. And so,
Thank you.
thank you. When we look at movement practices throughout the cycle, I think we did a beautiful job of laying out what practices you like to incorporate. I'm curious just if we can give people like a list of different movement practices if they want to try out different things, anything that comes to mind when you think of movement practice.
The biggest one that I just got to, because we're talking so much about our the phases, the cycle, right?
Mhm.
Is just hip movements.
Yeah.
Just really like just reconnecting with your hips. You can turn on any type of music that you love, that you connect to, and then just like set the intention to connect with your hips during that song.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as simple as that. And some songs are 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Maybe
Yeah.
you're picking a 10-minute song. That's up to you. Yeah. But that's my one of my favorite practices to share is just to just connect with the hips in whatever way that is. Just rocking back and forth,
Yeah.
going circles left to right, small circles, big circles, and then yes. So that's one. The other one that we already shared about a little bit today was shaking. So it's just, just vibrating the body, like starting to shake your shoulders, shaking the hands off, getting the legs into it, shaking your feet, letting the head rock back and forth. Because when we try to like control the head, we're trying to control the situation. That's what one of
Mm.
my teachers told me. And she goes, so let your head go. So when you're doing the chaotic, shaking, dancing type of releasing exercise, just lean into releasing the head and the neck as well. Obviously, gently and without hurting yourself.
Yes,
But
stay
that would be another
mindful of the neck.
yeah, we don't want to hurt the cervical spine. That's another one of my favorite ones. Or just getting into a yoga studio.
Mhm.
Find a yoga studio nearby. It's a great way to lean into community.
Yeah.
And being in an energetic space. Like online classes are great, but there's something magical when you just like take yourself to a studio or to like an in-person class, try something new, be a stranger in a new place. That's one of my favorite movement practices. Is to be a stranger in a new studio and just be me. I'll always be me, but there's something different about moving in a space as a stranger.
Yeah.
Um, there's something special about that exercise, and you can take that as you'd wish. You can go to a dance class, you can go to a yoga class, Maybe you go to a biking, cycling,
Yeah.
you know, try
Mhm.
something. Civic centers, rec centers,
Mhm.
plenty of places out there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I could keep going. You want me to
Yeah,
keep
give me
going?
a few more. Keep it
Take
going.
care of your feet. Take care of your feet. My favorite stretch is to sit back onto my heels with my toes curled under.
Uh-huh.
And I'm on my knees, and I sit back onto the heels and the toes are curled under. And maybe you do some eagle arms with your arms to distract your brain from the stretch in your feet. So that's getting really into that plantar fascia muscle area, and it's from all the way to your toes up to the heel. That's really nice. And then after that, you lean forward and tap the tops of your feet out just to release the blood flow again.
Mhm.
Leave the tops of your feet down. Don't curl the toes, and then lean back again. Hero's pose.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's a really good one too. That really gets the blood flow back into our feet. Or
Mhm.
when we're doing Baddha Konasana, butterfly, I like to open up the feet and like give a little massage
Uh-huh.
to my feet in front of me. That's one of my favorite things to do.
I have, so there's a teacher here in North Carolina who studied at the ashram. She's a kind of teacher. And she has us interlace our toes, like try to like get the toes interlaced like you would your hands.
Stop. I'm trying right now. That is so fun. That
It
is
spreads the
challenging.
toes and you're getting that tactile connection of your hands on your feet. It's very grounding. And it's kind of funny. It's like inner child, like laugh stuff too, because it's not something that like most adults would just like do.
No, I immediately laughed. And I wanted to try it. I love that.
Yeah.
You said because it really stretches out the toes, and that's another thing, getting those toe separators,
Mhm.
going through all of like the physical therapy and like the training to get back and walking into my feet, right?
Yeah.
Just one of the big things was separating the toes, creating space. I wear barefoot shoes now.
Okay.
Um, so not having a lot of support. I do love my combat boots still. I have a pair. But when I wear them, they hurt because now I wear barefoot shoes all the time. So my toes have spread and my feet are wider.
Mhm.
So I actually went up a size in the shoe too.
Okay.
Very interesting. I'm
Uh-huh.
learning a lot about my body. Um, so yeah, the feet are supposed to be wide. So getting
They
those
are.
toes wide and stretching them out, and maybe and there's also a gripping of a towel. You can put like a towel on the ground and grip the towel with your feet.
Mhm.
That's another good one for gaining strength back in your feet. Yeah, it's just so much movement, and you are your own movement. That's the best advice I can give to anybody is that you are your own movement. You create your own movement medicine,
Mhm.
and movement is medicine. That's
Why is movement
the
medicine?
biggest advice I can give. And whatever type of movement, any movement's better than no movement.
Mhm. What does it mean when you say movement is medicine, or why is movement medicine
Mm.
to you?
Because of the ability to transmute something into something else
Mm.
from moving. And that's what I think medicine does,
Mhm.
right? Or what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's supposed to transmute a pain or a ailment of some sort into something else, into no pain or the cure of some sort. So when I say movement is medicine because it is the ability to transmute pain, trauma, staticness, the inability, tension, let's just say just tension in general, to transmute tension into flexibility, things of that sort, to transmute something into something else. That's why I think it's medicine. And you create it for yourself. So you're the only one inside. You're the only one that knows what type of movement you need.
Mhm.
You're your own pharmacist if you think about it that way too.
I love that. Movement is medicine. Transmutation, taking one thing and moving it into another. Movement as the conduit or the the movement way, I was gonna say highway,
Yeah, yeah.
the way it changed things in the body, it's like adding heat, fire, it's cooking what's in.
Mm-hmm.
Internal fire, little tapas. Yeah,
And then you find the stillness at the end to just be able to listen,
to integrate.
to integrate,
Mhm,
let it settle, and then to do it all over again.
exactly. I love that in your examples of movement, you gave like you were like, go to a class, go to a yoga class, go to a cycle class, weightlifting class, whatever floats your boat. But then you also gave a few really great examples of things that someone could do in 5 minutes. They have 5 minutes in between meetings, or, they just don't, they're busy. You said
Yeah,
moving the hips, shaking the body, stretching out the feet. Those are such beautiful examples of how you can add in little bits of movement. And like the hip movement, like there's actually a lot of information research going on how beneficial movement of the hips and the pelvis is for your cervix, for your cervical health by promoting blood flow. I notice a lot in my yoga classes, in my cacao ceremonies, and my offerings in my work with women. There's a lot of tightness in the hips. We hold that area very tight because of discomfort or trauma or shame. And I think getting into the hips is such a subtle yet transformative thing that you can do.
it is to bounce off of that.
Yeah.
Because as you were saying it, the tension in the hips, right? I've also seen a lot of tension in the chest.
Mm-hmm.
And
Guarding
the
the heart.
ability to open the chest up and to open the heart and to be open into this space, into something new, because we're also used to being so curled in and tucked in and hidden and protective of both our space and our hearts, right? So
Yeah.
to be able to lean into a practice or into something new that opens up our hearts again physically
Mm-hmm.
so that we can then spiritually be more open to new experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so important. Direct connection.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
The last topic or the last question that I want to bring up today is actually about your plantar fascia injury. As someone whose life is so deeply rooted in movement, how did you navigate or adjust your movement practices when you weren't able to use your feet to the extent that you used to?
Oh, it was so hard.
Yeah.
The injury happened when I just returned from a dance retreat, and it happened while I was playing a softball game,
Mm,
and the list goes on. I was coaching softball at that time as well. So my movement practice had to shift drastically, but there was also a very dark night of the soul situation happening at that point too,
mhm,
because I had to lean into not being able to even control things like for myself. Like I had to lean into taking other people taking care of me as a very independent person.
mm,
So the movement, I have regrets for not sticking to my movement practice because of the emotional turmoil that took place during that time. That's definitely yeah, that's what I reflect on during that. But I leaned into different things because of that. Now that I'm reflecting on it, I leaned into what would be the best um recovery recovery steps for my feet. What am I going to do so that I can dance again? That was all that was on my mind.
yeah.
What am I going to do to be able to dance again? So I was getting massages done, I was getting acupuncture, cupping therapy, reflexology. I and then that's when I started researching the barefoot method.
Mm,
And the podiatrist, no, you're not going to be able to walk barefoot for a very long time.
mm.
Oh, heck no, not me. Not walk barefoot for a very long time. I like dancing in the grass, sir.
Mhm.
That I wasn't gonna take that answer. So that's where I had to shift my perspective on like what I was going to do, right? So naturally I just went into researching
Yeah.
and yeah, I bought my first pair of sandals, my barefoot sandals, love them. Then I got some free ground tennis shoes, love those. And yeah, so that's what leaned me into doing that. I wouldn't have leaned into barefoot walking and the foot exercises and the stretches and all of these simple things that we should be doing anyway before we get an injury.
Yeah.
It just took an injury for me to then lead me to now knowing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Because just like our body's needs shift throughout the cycle, our body's needs and our movement practice is going to shift over time, over life circumstances, over injuries, over just all of these things. And learning to adapt and have patience with the body is such a practice in and of itself.
Patience, patience, patience. And
Hmm.
during that process was the patience was the hardest thing to have because I just wanted it to be healed. Like even still today, if I wear a shoe
Uh-huh.
that has a heel on it, I am in bad trouble. I'm in bad trouble. I'm in trouble.
No
I can't.
heels for Jess.
No heels for Jess. Like if you ask me to be in your wedding, sorry, no heels. You know. I now need to. I come with that disclaimer. Um,
Uh-huh.
so yes, no heels for Jess.
Uh, Jess, is there anything else that you'd like to share? Any last words or thoughts about movement, about the journey of healing, about anything that we've talked about?
Another practice
Yes.
that is so simple and that everybody should do, and it goes along with the heart, is taking care of your spine.
Mhm.
Moving it in all six directions. If you don't know the six directions that you shall move your spine, it is we shall do it right now.
Let's do it. Guide us
I
through
would
it.
love to do that. So we're just going to do it. If you can do it from a chair, you can do it from a couch. Just you can do it standing or you can do it seated. I recommend just seated. We'll just do it seated. I'll cue from seated. So let's exhale, exhale, exhale. Big inhale into the nose. Exhale, sigh out. Take your hands down to the sides. Exhale. Inhale, reach them up towards the sky overhead. And exhale, release the hands back down. We're going to place the hands on your knees, rooting down there. And we're going to inhale, press the chest forward, squeeze the shoulder blades back behind you. Take your gaze up. And then exhale, round the back out, pressing the rib cage back. Look down, chin to chest. Inhale, come forward, pressing the chest forward, squeeze the shoulder blades back, look up. Exhale, round the back out, look down, chin to chest. Inhale, come back to center. Hands come down to your sides, exhale. Inhale, lift them up to the sky. Clasp your fingers together, leaving your pointer finger and your thumb out. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend over to the right, reaching your arms up and over, stretching into the whole left side. Inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, bend over to the left, stretching the whole right side body now. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, release the arms down. Let's just shake the shoulders out. So that was 4 directions, right? We had forward, back, side, side, and now we're just going to twist. So we're going to lift the arms up. Exhale, bring the arms down. Look over to the right. Right arm behind you. Maybe you grab for the chair. Your left hand is on the outside of your right knee. looking over the right shoulder. Exhale completely. Inhale, come back up. Reach both arms up to the sky, and then exhale, twist over to the left. Left arm behind you, right arm pressing on the outside of your left knee. Big inhale. Exhale completely. Inhale, bring your arms back up to center, unwinding. And then exhale, slowly release your hands back down to your heart.
Thank you, Jess.
You're
welcome. Jess, where can people find you? What are you doing out in the world? What are you offering?
I am in the Metro Detroit area, Michigan, Metro Detroit, Michigan. So you can find me teaching classes over here in the Metro Detroit area. You can see where I'm teaching at, updates on classes and offerings on my Instagram, flowgirl_Jess. That is my name, Flowgirl Jess. You can also find me on my website, flowgirljess.com, FLOW, flow. Flow is the word. Flow, slow, go. That's the word. And yeah, I'm always looking to collab. I'm always interested in connecting with other like-minded individuals in this space. And I also do web design for soulful entrepreneurs. So Annalise was one of my lovely clients.
I was.
And I have other clients and sisters. I've worked with yoga teachers, life coaches, all of the above. My main love is to just spread this energy, spread the love for movement between everybody who wants to share in it. And I know the message will reach those who need to hear it.
Absolutely, yes. Jess has a whole other side of graphic design, and she made me a beautiful logo, which I still use. And yeah, very.
I'm a manifesting generator, and I have a lot of sides to me. So
yes,
that's
you do. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Jess. This has been amazing. And
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing what you do in the future and how we can continue to collaborate.
I appreciate you so much. Sending you so much love. Thank you for having me on here. I feel so blessed and honored.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. If you enjoyed it, it would mean the absolute world to me if you'd share it with someone else that you think would like it, or leave a review. You can learn more about our guest by reading the notes below. And if you want to learn more about me, my one-on-one coaching, my memberships, or my online courses, you can learn more at mysticfemininefertility.com or Mystic Feminine Fertility on TikTok and Instagram. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.